YouTubers, Mike Morris with the Mike Morris channel. Thank you for watching. Today we are working in our garage and we're going to show you the step-by-step process on how to properly and safely secure your garage door wiring. You do not want to do this wrong. Let's go out to the garage and get started. All right, YouTubers, outside the garage now, and we have a Chamberlain garage door opener, and the ceiling mounted unit is right there, and the electrical wiring that feeds out of the actual ceiling portion over the door trim and to the wall mounted push button that opens and closes your garage door is hanging. And we just previously sanded the entire ceiling and repainted it, and to do so conveniently without actually putting a bunch of paint or accidentally sanding the wiring, we removed the low voltage staples. And so what we're going to do in this video is talk a little bit more about the actual low voltage staples that are fiber, as well as how to install them. So with that said, coming down here, you just need two things. You need a hammer and the actual low voltage staples. As you can see here, 1/8 inch, 3mm, low voltage fiber insulated staples. And that's what they look like right there. They're pretty unique. And on the back side, starting at the top left, the uses: secure speaker, telephone, bell, and other low volt wire, as well as indoor outdoor use, which is awesome. The features are UV resistant saddle, will not rust, crack, or deteriorate, which is great. And the instructions, only one step: place staple over cable and install using a hammer. So depending on the actual thickness and strength of whatever you are inserting these staples in to secure your wiring will depend on how easily and conveniently you can grab one of these staples and push it in place, secure the wire, and then just tap it with the actual hammer. We might even be able to get away with not using the hammer. However, most likely we will use the hammer. So these are very important, and in the event that you are hanging wiring for your garage door or any speakers or electronics, whatever you do, stay away. Let me start that again. Stay away from staple guns, because the actual force and impact of a staple coming out of a staple gun is going to damage your internal wiring, and you do not want that. That's why they make these low voltage staples, because they are specifically designed to hold or house the actual wiring through these little clips here, or inserts. So what we'll do is we'll open these up and we'll start re-securing the actual garage door wiring on the ceiling all the way to the wall, and then it fed over that little trim there and down there. At this point, I removed a few of the staples from the actual packaging, and that's what they look like. Here's a close-up view of the actual staples, and they have very sharp points at the tip, and that will allow you to actually penetrate whatever surface or material you're actually inserting these and securing wiring. So with that said, let's head to the ladder and head up to the ceiling and start putting these in. All right, the very first thing I recommend: unplug your garage door opener, cut all electrical power to your actual unit. Hopefully you can do this in the daytime where you have sufficient light, or you have extra garage lights that you can actually turn on, and that's what we'll do. We'll turn those lights on. All right, YouTubers, up on a ladder, be very, very careful as you do this. The last thing you want to do is fall off the ladder. Here's the old holes that the old low voltage staples were in, and I'm actually going to try to match that up and press in with a little bit of force. All right, making progress. At this point, I've got the staple inserted and pushed up to a point where I've got the wiring in place in that little groove, and from here I'll grab the hammer and tap this in place. What you do not want to do is over tighten this or over hammer this actual staple into the drywall. Be very careful. You don't want to pinch or harm the wiring. Nice and easy. And that's basically all you need. And from here, the actual wiring is still loose, and I am able to move the wiring back and forth. To me, that is definitely recommended, because at this point I have no force or strain on the actual wiring. I am not pinching that wiring with the actual staple, thus decreasing the possibility of actually harming that wiring. So with that said, I'll grab another staple and head to the additional inserts, as you can see, and continue the project. And the way I'll do this is I'll actually just wrap the staple around the wiring and carefully insert it back up into those original holes. And that one went in pretty well. And notice what I've done with the wiring. Again, it's still loose, so all I need to do is pull it and release all the tension. And from here, I'll just push it up just slightly more. And again, I do want that play with the wiring to alleviate any damage or future harm to the wiring. Making progress. We've got 2 inserted. we'll continue adding the rest. All right, down from the ladder, and we turn the light off. And from here, as you can see, the wiring comes out of the upper portion of the garage door unit, secures itself just shy of the actual outlet plate, and feeds all the way to where the ceiling touches the wall. And YouTubers, make this as straight as possible. Do your best not to make it crooked or sloppy, because every time you come in and out of the garage, you will see it and it may annoy you. Maybe it's just me, but I'm a perfectionist when I start working on things, and I want things to look clean and in an organized manner. So with that said, got a staple up in that corner there, a staple there, and then down a staple in this upper corner of this actual trim, and then the actual wiring is tucked behind that trim and behind the side trim all the way to the actual wall-mounted push button. And in the event that I climb back up, I can actually move the entire wire through every single one of those staples. Again, as I mentioned earlier, you want to be able to actually shift the wiring through those staples, because if you can do that, you're not applying too much pressure on the actual wire, and thus will decrease the possibility of you damaging that wiring. With that said, now we are going to close the garage door, because we have that wiring that feeds from this side and goes all the way down to this wall over there and feeds over to each side and down to your actual sensors right down here, as you can see there. So we will close the garage door and secure that wiring. Back up on the ladder, you have two options. You can plug this back in prior to closing your garage door, and that will allow you to close your garage door in the normal configuration. If you forget to plug this in, or you choose not to plug it in, you will notice that your garage door will close at half speed, and this actual unit will make a beeping sound because it is in its emergency or non-standard configuration. So again, we're gonna plug it in, close the door, and then we'll unplug it to secure the additional wiring on the opposite side. As you can see here, it feeds all the way to the additional wall. All right, and there's the additional wiring, and it will be offset from the actual track and belt, so it does not interfere with those moving parts. Back up top, we are going to unplug it. Again, be careful, you don't want to fall off your ladder. And we've got our outside door open for a little bit of extra light, as well as additional lighting. Making progress, I have secured this portion of the wiring. This is a little different. I want to show you exactly what I mean by that. Climbing up the ladder, you actually have two wires that feed through each of these staples. And again, make sure you can move these wiring freely and easily through this actual staple. These are the wires that actually feed all the way to each side of the garage door and go all the way down to your lower sensors. Again, one on the left side and one all the way on the lower right hand side. That wiring comes all the way up here, meets in the middle, and I've got one staple for both wiring. Again, you can move this wiring very easily through that staple, not applying too much pressure to the staple. And again, just make sure you make it as straight as you can and at least 6 to 8 inches away from your actual belt and track. And I'll show you why. Back at the power outlet, I will plug the garage door opener in, hop off the ladder, and open the garage door with that wall-mounted push button. And again, you want that actual wiring away from that moving mechanism on your track, because you do not want that to harm or make contact and damage your wiring. One more tip, make sure your wiring is flush with the ceiling, so when you're opening and closing this door, this actual door does not touch that wiring and pull it down. That would not be good. So that's it, YouTubers. We hope the video helped. Do us a favor, below the video you will see that thumbs up icon. Click on that, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Definitely go to your settings, turn on your YouTube notification bell. Once you do that, every video that we upload, you will be notified. You will be able to stay up to date with us. That will be awesome. Thanks again for watching, YouTubers.